Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are talking all about YSL. The reason why I want to talk about YSL today is because word on the street is that they are going to have another round of price increases any day now, any moment now. I just checked the US website and I don't see the new prices reflected, but one of you commented on my community post that you do see the new prices reflected, and I don't know if that's in a different country, but I think at any given moment, you're going to see the new prices pop up. And so if you are eyeing something from YSL and you see the old prices or the current prices still intact, you may want to not panic buy at all, but if you're planning to purchase something anyway and you don't want to pay extra after the price increase, it might be something that you want to think about. So I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about the price increases. I want to talk about YSL as a brand and what you guys think about them these days. I also want to talk about some of their financials and also something I noticed while I was in Paris. So a lot of information I'm going to be throwing into this video, so stick around to the end. So here's a close-up of my YSL toy-sized Lulu bag. I've had this for 5 years, bought it in 2018 roughly, and I got it for about $1,000, full price retail. So currently, this is before the new price increase goes into effect. Currently, this retails for $1,990, so roughly $2,000, okay? So that means that this price has doubled, right? From about $1,000 to about $2,000. It has doubled, has gone up 100% in 5 years. And usually when we're talking about investing, we usually say that if you can double your money in 8 years, that's actually a really healthy investment. And we're looking at a bag that has doubled in 5 years. So I just wanted to give you that kind of context so that we can really understand what's happening in the luxury world with all these increases. So this one in particular went up by 8% in the last round of price increases, which happened in November of 2022. You may recall that in November, I did a very detailed spreadsheet and I did a detailed video and I went through line by line talking about old price versus new price. So I do have that spreadsheet still, and this was impacted by 8% increase. The small size, which is a little bit larger, was a 14% increase, and the medium size was a 12% increase, just to give you an idea. I remember the Uptown wallet on chain, which is not here, I don't own it, went up by 25%. I think that was the largest percentage increase that I saw at the time back in November 2022. And then you saw like little increases, like 2-3% increases on smaller items such as card cases or card holders, but it kind of ran a very wide range. It went from single digit percentage increases to pretty high double digit percentage increases. So if that is what is to be expected again in this next round in May, then you're looking at a pretty substantial increase across the board, and then you got to add taxes on top of that. So let's take the iCare Maxi Tote as an example. That's one of their newer bags. It was really hot last year with all the celebrities and big time influencers being gifted it and then wearing it around. It's kind of quieted down quite a bit since then. So the trend was a little short-lived, and now I feel like a lot of fashion trends are really just too fast and too short-lived. But anyway, I digress. That iCare Maxi Tote originally came out at $4,400 at its debut, and then it quickly went up to $4,900 in November, which was representative of, I think, about a 10 or 11% increase. Yeah, about 11% increase. And if it goes up again, it will be over $5,000. It's already over $5,000 if you add sales tax. But if it goes up again in this next round, then it will be over $5,000 for sure, even before you incorporate taxes into that. So we're talking about a YSL tote. Granted, it's big, it's leather, but it's YSL, and we're talking $5,000. Now, the reason why I say it that way is because I think that most of us can agree that as much as YSL is clearly luxury, I don't think anyone questions that. It's luxury. It's a large design house. It's been around for a long time. It's Parisian. Products are mostly made in Italy. They are owned by the Kering Group, which is a huge conglomeration of other luxury brands. They own Gucci, Balenciaga, Bottega Veneta, Alexander McQueen, etc., etc. However, I think most of us will agree that while this is luxury, YSL tends to have a unique place in the luxury market that is a bit balanced. What I mean is they're usually known to be a bit more reasonable, meaning nice quality, leather products, expensive, but not crazy expensive, not as expensive as some of its competitors. And because of that, I feel like a lot of people gravitated towards YSL as either one of their first luxury designer brands, or as an entry point brand, or they stayed with YSL because they felt like the value was there, and it was, again, the word reasonable keeps coming up. Whereas a lot of the other brands, I think, have caused a bit of hysteria in terms of how ridiculous some of the quality issues and their price increases have been. So with that being said, now I wonder if YSL is no longer going to be perceived that way by many customers because the prices are creeping up to a much higher territory, a much higher territory. I will say, though, the Cassandra clutch, I'll insert a picture here. I think that, or it's like the wristlet, I think this is still such a good value, such a great bang for your buck. It was $725 last year. Then in November, it went up only $50 to $775. Even if it goes up again to maybe like $850 or so, I think this is great because you can use it as a clutch. You can add a chain and use it as a shoulder bag or crossbody bag. So many people have been showing that on social media. It's versatile. It's leather. It's grained. It's got the matelassé quilting. It's classic YSL with the logo. So I do think this is a good value. If I could find any available in the colors that I think are beautiful, I'll link it down below in my description box. Sometimes there are better deals through department stores, and sometimes you could find pre-loved ones on places like Fashion File too. But I do think that's still a good deal. But I think that if you're looking at the Lulu collection, the Nikes, the college, the totes, you kind of have to really weigh, is it worth it compared to other options out there? And if you really love the look and you love YSL, then of course it makes sense. But if you were thinking, it would be more reasonably priced, I think it's kind of leaving that territory now. What do you guys think? Many of you had commented on my community post recently saying that you're really not going to be buying any more YSL because the prices don't justify what they offer. And some of you were saying that you were going to buy, but now you're not going to. Some of you said you're glad you already bought previously because you wouldn't buy at these prices. So it kind of runs the whole range. Some of you said you don't own anything from YSL and you don't plan to. Some said there's bad quality issues. I haven't heard of that many quality issues with YSL. I have heard of some, but not as much as, for example, Chanel. I've owned this for 5 years, as I said, and I don't have any quality issues that I can mention. No defects, no unusual wear or tear. I've mentioned before when I did my updated reviews that I've gotten this caught in torrential rain several times, so the leather has gotten a little bit wrinkly, but that is my own fault. And still, it's holding up beautifully. I think it looks really nice. This compact wallet, I'll be honest, I don't use it very much. I probably need to let it go, but it's just so pretty. It's the croc embossed leather. It's got the zipper and just so nice here. It looks pretty much new. This one too has held up really nicely, and even though I haven't used it very much, I will say I can see that this will last a long time. So I haven't personally come across quality issues with YSL, but then again, my experience with them is very limited since I only own 2 items from them, so don't take my word for it. Maybe the quality has declined over the years as it has with many other brands. Again, I bought this 5 years ago, so a lot has probably happened between then and now. But I'm really curious to know what you guys think. I also want to share with you something interesting from a financial standpoint. So I dug up some numbers because you guys know I'm a bit of a geek with numbers. And it looks like back in Q1 of 2022, so roughly around this time last year, they probably released their numbers because it's always a little bit delayed when they release their numbers. And it turns out that YSL actually did the best in terms of performance under the Kering group. So they did better than Gucci. They did better than Balenciaga. They just did the best. So their sales were up 37% in Q1, beating forecast. Their predictions were that they would be up by 24%. yet they went up by 37%. This is in sales. So that's always a nice surprise for any company when you beat forecast. So just to give you a contrast, Gucci in that same quarter went up by 13%, which is, hey, not bad. That's pretty good, double-digit growth. But 13% at Gucci versus 37% at YSL, you see there's a big difference. So I don't know if Kering Group went like all in on YSL. Maybe they think that they can push. Maybe they think that they can go even higher on the prices and people will still buy. I don't know. Are they right? Are they wrong? Who knows? And it's interesting because in doing my research, I came across an article and there was a quote from one of I think it was the chairman or CEO of YSL, and they said that they actually focus on local clients and the bulk of their sales come from local clients versus tourists. Now, what does that mean? This is a Parisian brand. So do they mean European clients or just French clients? The article did not elaborate, but that means they're not really heavily relying on international clients. So a lot of brands do heavily rely on tourism. When lockdowns happened and people couldn't travel, some of them were hit really bad. In the UK, when the VAT tax refunds were taken away, a lot of brands were hit really bad because they relied on tourists to purchase their items. It sounds like from that article that I read that YSL doesn't rely heavily on tourists. And another interesting point that I wanted to mention, which I already mentioned on my Instagram stories when I came back from Paris recently, was that one of the most spotted handbag brands while I was in Paris was YSL. Some of you asked, and so I told you it was YSL. Yeah, I saw more YSL than any other brand. And I was surprised. I saw a lot of Nikki bags, actually. And I couldn't tell if they were tourists or locals, because you really can't tell from the outside. And it was probably a mix, but now this article is making me think maybe they were mostly locals. Maybe they were all Parisians, because a lot of women were wearing YSL bags. I also saw a lot of Longchamp and Chanel, and I didn't see that much Hermes where I was. I saw a few, but not like a crazy amount. And then a smattering of other brands. And I also mentioned that I saw a lot of really stylish people with brands that I had never seen before, like kind of like no-name brands, which I thought was cool because it really piqued my interest in exploring newer up-and-coming lesser-known brands. As you guys know, I've been really enjoying doing that and exploring with you guys and showcasing different items for you. But yeah, YSL was pretty popular where I was in Paris. We went to different parts of the city. We went to residential areas. We went to tourist areas. And I just saw a lot of YSL kind of everywhere. So what does that mean? I don't know. But I'm curious, just this group here, this audience of mine, you guys, my community, very international. If I look at the stats, I have a huge, huge chunk of you guys here in the States with me. And then I have a lot of you in Canada, but I also have many of you in Singapore, Japan, Australia, kind of like all over the place, which is really cool. Really, really cool that I love you guys just joining in and being a part of this community. So I want to hear from you. How are you feeling about YSL as a brand? Do you think they are now out of their own league? Like, do you think they're getting a little too ambitious? Or do you feel like they deserve it because they make great products? I'm curious to know. Leave me a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you found the dialogue to be interesting. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.